So we're going to talk about gratitude and how gratitude's a strength multiplier. And a lot of this kind of taps back into the mindset, but we're going to talk about resiliency, gratitude, and just where that comes from, how to develop that, and what it does. So your daily gratitude and some of that practice for like a mental clarity, if you get in a stressful situation or things aren't going your way, or you're starting to have this mentality of a victim, or I was spited, or you're getting jealous or envious, or any of these emotions that you start to feel that clouds your positive resilience, your ability to continue. Well, if you don't have gratitude, and if your mindset's not set for gratitude, it's going to be very difficult to be grateful. You're going to compare. And comparison is the thief of joy. And having gratitude in your heart and where that comes through. And at the bottom, we'll talk a little bit about faith versus, just positive vibes, bro. But, I preach having a morning routine. And a lot of having a morning routine is just even a few, even if it's 5 minutes. You're sitting in silence, you're quiet, and what you're trying to practice for your gratitude for mental clarity, where it's clear. You're not clouded. You're not worried about yesterday. You're not worried about tomorrow. You're present in your place. And what can you be grateful for? Um, there's a lot of interesting clips and pictures of comparison to this. But I've had a lot of buddies that, they got injured during war, during combat, the war they bring back with them. Some people that aren't as, um, fortunate as others, whether that's physically, whether that's talent, whether that's their parents are still married. If they grew up with money or they didn't, someone went to college or they didn't. There's a lot of comparison. But what was interesting is, I saw this picture. There's a guy walking, and he's just walking. He's carrying a backpack, and he looked and he saw somebody with a bicycle. He said, "Man, that'd be awesome. As if I had a bike, so I wouldn't have to walk." And the guy riding his bike, he saw somebody with a vehicle. And he's like, "Man, that'd be really cool if I had a pickup truck." And the guy in the pickup truck, he was driving. He was looking up, "Man, it'd be cool if I had that vehicle." And the guy at that vehicle was looking at the airplane. And it just kept going up. But we have to remember that we could just be at the bare bones nothing, having not a thing, not the ability to walk, not the ability to throw, not the ability to write, to read. We're gifted with much, and there's much we need to be a good steward of, that we need to take care of, we need to invest into. Because we can use it, how we can give back and have gratitude for the life we have, we have to take care of ourselves, our body, our mind. And so having that moment in the morning with your routine that involves movement and a few other variables, have a portion where you have some gratitude. You can really kind of reset where we're at in this country, of the opportunities, where you are currently willing and able to go and do and be better. So have that reset and not a comparison. And it's easy to compare. It's hard to stay present, but that moment of gratitude can give you a lot of mental clarity. And so how gratitude can reduce stress and how that can improve performance. So when you've been gifted something or you're given something, a lot of times it's not really appreciated like long term. There may be like in a moment, people that have a spending addiction, they buy something and then it's old in a week or a month. Whatever you're purchasing, that thing that may give you a momentary relief or momentary high, but how does that really manage stress? And are you using different things to manage your stress? And so how gratitude can reduce your stress is you have this thankfulness inside. And it's not just based off the comparison conversation we just had talked about. but where you could be at, and having thankfulness for where you are at. So it instantly kind of just alleviates and washes your stress away, where you're not anxious, you're not worried, you're thankful for the environment you're in, the challenge you're in, the opportunity to grow, how that will improve your performance because you're thankful for an environment that's going to force you to perform. And how are you performing? Are you performing upset? The ref made a bad call. Well, you think you're really going to perform well when you're upset at the referee or the umpire, or the home team isn't really rooting and supporting? Whatever the outside noise is, that's all secondary to you. And having gratitude for doing, for being, the ability, you can shift that around where it's an opportunity. And that can be a superpower where you can really charge up your performance based on the gratitude, the opportunity. It's like have that chip on your shoulder of that Rudy complex. And if you haven't seen the movie Rudy, check it out. Great movie. But having that chip on your shoulder, like that's your motivation as why. And what is your why? And so you can have some gratitude because your why is the ability to and to grow and have a growth mindset as you're executing. And if you have this growth resilient mindset as you're performing, I mean, there's no downside, it's all upside. And tell me you're not going to perform better. And what stress are you having? And so having that gratitude can be a really good dissolver of that stress. This is rolling into tactical gratitude. And so sometimes it's hard to look at positives in a negative situation and positives in the worst situations. When you're getting shot at, what is the positive? You're on a mission and someone rolled over an IED. There's many of examples that we can use of tactical gratitude, but what we kind of have built in for tons of years of every mission, every event, any training event, anything we're doing, we can reflect on what we just did. Where don't avoid it, like don't avoid the difficult conversations. Have the presence to manage your emotions, but an after action review. We call that an AAR, the lessons learned process, where we can look at, okay, this happened. We can't change that, but why did it happen? Let's look at reducing the risk for that to happen next time. So you can look at the lesson learned, the loss, the education gained. Some of that may be at a high cost, not just dollar wise. That lesson may have cost life. So don't let that lesson go in jeopardy. In the same instance, if that's a game that you lost, well, why? Why did you not plan for that? Proper planning prevents poor performance. And so what is a planning variable that we could have changed? And if it's your physical fitness to improve your physical readiness, then look at how can my physical preparation help my mental resiliency? How can I be grateful for the ability to perform and plan properly, allow me to mitigate, to avoid some of the worst situations? And so you can have tactical gratitude when things go wrong, not just when they go right. And integrate that lesson learned process and be grateful for those lessons. And so rolling into faith-based gratitude versus cultural positive vibes. And I'm not, my faith is very strong to me. That is the most important thing to me. Without my faith in Jesus Christ and him dying for our sins and having the conviction in my sin and wrongdoings, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. I don't know if I would be here. I have no idea what I would do and be. But without my gratitude in my faith in the Lord, of him dying for our sins, accepting me for who I am and the sinful nature in all of us, we don't earn, we don't deserve the forgiveness nor grace. And so there's gratitude. If you lean into your faith and you get to know God, of what we're gifted daily, of what we have around us to be a good steward of, and to also embody the faith inside to others, how we can reflect gratitude for this life we're given, and how can we be a good steward of this vessel God gave us. Now, rolling into cultural positive vibes, that's fine too. You can be positive and not want drama. You can be positive and choose positivity, but also don't have that avoid some of the hard conversations that can allow growth. Some of that after action review may be difficult, but that mentality shift of gratitude, that gratitude for the difficulty, because it's going to help me grow, that is where you can shift on, hey, no, I'm thankful that it was a hard day because it makes me appreciate a bad day, or a good day rather. If you have a bad day, it's going to help you appreciate a good day. Again, going to being given something that's for free. If you're giving something, you don't really appreciate it unless you've had it really hard, unless it's been bad, unless it's been difficult. My first vehicle, it was an old red big Cadillac. It was a two-door, and it was the farm car from across the street. I grew up at 14 years old, baling hay, painting fence, cleaning horse stalls, leading trails, doing a lot of area beautification, what we called it, but weed whipping or whacking, cutting, trimming, tons of property and lots of hard work. And they had an old farm car. I knew I didn't have a vehicle, wouldn't have a vehicle by the time I was 16. We kind of started driving when we were 15, get our permit. But my dad worked 7 days a week, and I wasn't driving the family van around. And so I knew if I wanted a vehicle, I would have to go and get it. That thing had rust. It wasn't the best vehicle, but it worked. It was mine, and I worked for it all summer. And by the time I was 15, I had my first car by working. And I loved that car. I still have like a sweet spot for old big Cadillacs, just riding in a boat. But with that being said, when you work for it, you have gratitude when you achieve it. And if it's given to you for free because you're avoiding difficulty for growth, you're never going to achieve it. And it's going to be very hard to have gratitude when you're not growing, when you're not learning from the lessons of why it didn't go well. Why are you not receiving? And being an honest broker of self. Because if you can do that, you can have gratitude within the growth lessons. Where are the kinks in your armor? And don't let your ego fight that. It's okay. We're human. We're supposed to mess up and get it wrong. And that's okay. You can have conviction. You can pray. And you can have gratitude for the environment you're in, because that'll help you grow. That'll help you get stronger, because you'll be resilient and you'll continue. And if you don't stop, you will be successful. Thanks for the time. Comment below.